Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a card for the Positivity deck for Kylie Studio. This one is the card Self-Love, and I found this one very difficult to make. I really struggled for ideas for it. As you can see, I just flipped through my journal where I do make some notes, and now I'm about to put some gesso on the card. These cards were just made out of cardboard that I've cut down to size, rounded off the corners. On the back I've painted just blue paint. I wanted to make all the cards consistent, and so that I can add to it later, I can always make the same background. Alright, so what I've decided to do is use a yellow paint. I thought that yellow is always a bright sort of a colour, so I thought that would make a nice background. And now I'm using a second yellow paint, just so that it's not all one colour, and smearing it on with my fingers. The title Self-Love, it really did struggle with this one. I messed around with a lot of bits and pieces and tried to find something that would jump out. I eventually came up with the purple banner which says believe in your dreams or believe in yourself. There's a gold star which just seemed to go with the banner, and I cut out a little jar out of the acetate or plastic packaging, and I have some hearts that are left over from Valentine's Day. Here I'm just looking at putting a little bit of stenciling on to give it a little bit of texture, and this will help tone in the banner that I've got too. So a little bit on this side there and another bit on the top. Okay, now that it's dry, I'm looking at, I've sprayed some gold paint because I still wasn't happy with the background. I thought it just needed something else. Now I'm having a look at which heart to put on. Originally I was going to put a purple heart on, but they didn't really tone very well with the purple banner, so I thought I'd be better using a more pink heart, so it's sort of a two-tone heart that I'm actually looking at placing behind the jar, which I sort of thought was sort of a jar full of love or something like that. And I'm using the glossy accents to glue it down, just popping a little bit around the edges. I didn't want to have too much so that you could actually see it. Took a little bit to actually dry this one. I did dry a little bit with the heat gun, but obviously being plastic I didn't want to spend too long with the heat gun on it, and because it didn't really stand out against the background, I thought I'd go around with a black uniball pen just to outline it so that you could actually see it better. And unfortunately it was still a little wet, so it didn't really work as well as I thought. I do actually go back later and fix up a few of the areas. And here I'm just trying to work out the placement for the banner. I decided I did like it going diagonal, but it was just a little bit long, so I actually cut a little bit off the end, and I'm using some little foam squares to raise it a little bit. I don't like making my ATCs too dimensional because putting them in the pockets, sometimes you can damage them, or it's difficult to get them into the pockets. So just placing that, and then I do the same with the star, just pop it in there with another foam square. And now distressing the edges with the black soot, distressing. And this is where I realised that yet again I'd forgotten to distress the edges of the banner and the star. So you'll see that I do try to take them off, and I do manage to get the star off fairly easily, but the banner I really couldn't get it off. I would have damaged it too much had I pulled it off too much, so I just tried to work around it. You'll see that I try to edge it while it's on the card. It worked out reasonably well. And just wiping it a little bit. Now I have my label maker, and I've made the label Self-Love. Originally I was going to put it all as one down the bottom, but then I decided it was a little bit too much. Just looked a little bit too long, so I do eventually cut it. Here I'm just putting on some purple paint so that it tones a little bit better with the card. I thought the white was a bit too stark. And just wiping a little bit over the words so you can still actually see the words. And here's where I trim it down so that it's two separate little pieces. I did decide that they were probably a bit thin, so I thought I'd put them on some card. I'm having fun taking the tape off the back. I'll just cut them down, trim them up a little bit. Decided I'd just edge them a little bit, and you'll have to excuse my head, it does appear in a couple of shots. And this is where I did actually remember to distress the edges, which I was quite pleased with myself. And some little foam, they're actually rectangles on the back. And I wasn't entirely satisfied with it. I did come in with my black in-raw pen and just do a little bit of edging on the banner, and I did the gold star as well, just to make them pop a little bit more. And this is where I went in and just did the edges of that little jar again. And that's my ATC for self-love. My little jar of love. I actually was really happy with it in the end. Thought it turned out quite well. And here it is, I'm just popping it in with the other ones. The other cards, I do have a video showing those, and I do have a video showing the little journal that I made as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.